People always like to debate who is the best of all time. Well, welcome to Kestony channel. Today I am ranking my top 5 players in chess history. Everyone's top list is different and opinions play a large part. We'll rank them by considering these 3 factors. First, tournament wins. This is the most obvious evidence of proving one's skills. B. Dominance over contemporaries. In chess, it is possible to avoid matches against certain players. For example, Alekhine dodged playing in the same tournaments with the world champion Capablanca, and he never gave him a chance to play rematch. He played Efim Bogyubov twice instead. And C, the last factor, longevity. How long the player has remained at the top level. Please note that this is my personal 5 best players, which means there will be many world champions and legends left behind. Number 5. Emanuel Lasker. His contemporaries used to say that Lasker used a psychological approach to the game, and even that he sometimes deliberately played inferior moves to confuse the opponents. He was the longest ever for 27 years to dominate the chess world as a world champion. To become one, he defeated Steinitz by the result of 10 wins and 5 losses and 10 wins 2 losses in the rematch. He had an impressive match record. In 97, he defended his title against Marshall and won a flawless match with the result of 8 wins and 0 losses. The following year, he beat Tarash and Karl Schlechter, which was the hardest successful defense of his title. And he also beat Janovsky. He defended his title for 5 times. And I would like to mention again that Lasker was the world champion for 27 years. Number 4. Bobby Fischer. I know. Some of you would put him right at the top. Probably the most dominant player to ever play the game in his prime. After having a 20-game winning streak in the early 1970s, Fischer once again made chess history in 1972 with his defeat of the Soviet Union's Boris Spassky at Reykjavik, Iceland, World Championship, thus making the first time an American chess player had won the title. Fischer's defeat of a Soviet opponent, which became known as the match of the century, took on iconic proportions in the middle of the Cold War and was seen as a symbolic victory of democracy over communism. Fischer's history even also made a chess popular game in the United States. He crushed grandmasters Larsen and Imanov by the score of 6-0, 6-0, which were shocking results. However, Fischer's tournament record was not impressive at all. Besides winning USA championships, which were not the strongest events in the world by any means, he only got 8 tournament wins during the dominant years from 1967s to 1970s. So he only dominated the world of chess for 5 years, and after defeating Spassky with the result of 7 wins, 3 losses, he refused to play young Karpov, who also defeated Spassky with the result of 4 wins and 1 loss the next year. People like to idolize him because of what he represented. One guy from West fighting against the whole Soviet machine. Number 3. Magnus Carlsen. This young chess genius is a world champion since 2013. In the May of 2014 rankings, Carlsen achieved an all-time high record of 2882 ELO points. He's not only dominating the classical time control, but he is also number 1 in speed chess, known as Blitz and Rapid. In 2014, he went on to claim the World Blitz Championship 2 days later, becoming the first player to hold the title in all 3 FIDE-rated time controls. Starting from 2010 to 2018, he was clearly the best tournament player in the world. Head-to-head scores prove that he is dominating the world. Out of 43 grandmasters who have ELO of 27 or higher, only Nepomniachtchi, Swidler and Rapport have a positive score against Carlsen, and the last 2 won only 3 games combined against him. So Magnus is the best for 7 years straight now, but I don't think that that's enough to be greater than the last 2 on my list. Number 2. Anatoly Karpov. In my opinion, the most underrated world champion in the history. His stats against the almighty Kasparov were 21 wins, 28 losses, and 121 draws, so he was as close as one could possibly be. Karpov won his world championship title without the final match. Fischer refused to play and resigned the title in the latter's favor. Because he felt he had been handed the title, Karpov wanted to prove he is worthy of it. In the next decade, he entered almost every major tournament and won the majority of them. To illustrate Karpov's dominance over his peers as champion, his score was 11 wins, 2 losses versus Spassky, 5 wins, 12 draws versus Robert Hübner, 6 wins, 1 loss versus Ulf Andersson, 3 wins, 1 loss versus Vasily Smyslov, 1 win, 16 draws against Tal, and 10 wins, 2 losses versus Lyubimir Lyubovich. Also note that he was a world champion for 10 years. And before we go to the first place, I would like to show you the honorable mentions. Of course, there are so many world champions and legends that could not make this 5th list, so here they are. Number 1. Garry Kasparov. Greatest to ever touch the pieces. He was a killer at the board because of his aggressive style and energy. He was the most dominating force in chess for almost 20 years, an undisputed number 1 who broke numerous records. In the span between 1981 and 1990, he took the first place in 15 consecutive tournaments. Don't forget that during that period, he also played 5 matches against Karpov. From 1998 to 2001, he won 10 consecutive super tournaments. In the Olympiads, he has won 5 individual gold medals, and Russia won the Chess Olympiad all 8 times when Kasparov played for the team. Kasparov was the number 1 rated player in the world for 2 decades. His domination started in 1985 and ended virtually with his retirement and Linares' 2005 victory. So here they are, my best 5 of all time. There were hundreds of legendary grandmasters, that's why it was so hard to make this list, because you will always miss someone. Let me know in the comments who are the top 5 players in your opinion, and if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel.